Our last group, but by no means least, is Lake Como, and hopefully the Staten Island crew, you will all stay on to listen to the Lake Como presentation, because then we're going to take just a couple of minutes to talk about next steps and where all of these projects are heading. So we will have Lake Como go, and then we will do a roundup and final comments and final questions. Lake Como, oh yes, Kevin Garcia, hello.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Kevin Garcia. Currently
Kevin
a sophomore.
Garcia, you're live and in person.
Yes. Currently a sophomore with Leins Barthe High School for Architecture and Designs. This is my first year working with Makerspace and working on the Lake Como project. Another thing, for me, it's been a struggle lately because due to COVID, I've been working online. So when it came to working on CAD drawings and different types of drawings, it was difficult for me and my group. So yeah, another thing, I want to excuse Jennifer. At the moment, she's not able to attend. There's times where life hits you with a punch you just don't expect, and Jennifer is going through a moment like that right now. I want to introduce my team member, Leins.
Sorry about that, folks. My microphone seemed to be off. So, hello, my name is Leins Barthe. I am a junior at I'm a junior at Williamsburg High School for Architecture and Design. This would be technically my second year working on this project, although I've been there for a while. I wasn't able to attend for some year because my schedule wasn't acting so well. But I'm back now, and I'm here to do the best that I can with my teammates.
Oh, sorry. Another member I want to introduce is William Cordova.
Hello, everybody. I am a junior at Williamsburg High School for Architecture and Design. And I've actually been covering a lot of the CAD drawings, especially due to COVID. Since I'm the only one that's been allowed to actually come into the school. So all the CAD drawings that you see during this presentation have been revised and edited by Mr. Rodriguez. So yeah.
Another member who we had for part-time was Marlon, who helped beginning with CAD drawings due to the difficulties of him having a computer who already had CAD installed. Our mission for Lake Como is creating an environmentally safe and socially beneficial pathway between Main Street and the lakefront. Here we have a view of what 18th Avenue is and a view of what Parkway is.
All right, so now, pathway, the main objective for our job here. The pathway to the lake, the objectives. So the first thing that we want to do, we want to improve the quality of life for those who are living within the Lake Como district and for those who would be passing through important routes through the borough. The second thing we want to do is connect. Everything needs connection in life. If you want to work with someone, you need to have a connection. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to connect the Main Street business district, with the lakefront. Basically, we want to make a central focus. We want to bring a central focus on both these combinations for the community. Third thing, balance, because if there's no balance in life, are you really living? So what we're trying to do, we're trying to find a balance between both tourism and entertainment while developing the village atmosphere and the environmental theme for this community. Fourth thing we want to do, contribute. So what we're doing, we're trying to contribute to the development of Lake Como's environmental vision by transforming the town from a little-known drive-through to a distinctive destination. And now I got my number. If I'm correct, we're on 5. I hope I'm not that bad with my numbers. So what we want to do, we want to spread, improve social and natural environments through the roots of this borough. So now the presentation order. So this is how the whole show is going to be going. So for the first thing, introductions, of course. Everybody has to make their introductions. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to be describing the background of the area and the principles of all the pathways. So part one, remediation. So in this part, we're going to be finding solutions for chronic problems that plague the Lake Como district, such as speeding, vehicle noise, parking, littering, and unruly weekend behavior. Part two, we're going to be focusing on enhancement. One of the problems that face the top. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to be trying to improve once we have most of the problems removed and solved. This will, as stated before, enhance the quality of life for those who live there and make the community overall better. Finally, the conclusion. We're going to propose the solutions for the pathway to Lake Como and describe the benefits, and then go on to explaining the possible next steps. Now, our main sources of information. So, of course, with all investigations and trying to figure out how to make things better for everyone, you want to go to the people who directly experience it. For example, residents, proprietors of both the borough. Now our second help comes from Sustainable Jersey, where they help complete streets with design guides. And now for our third and final contributor, we have the Candace Garden, where we got a lot of the ideas from pilot projects and the modes of actions that we had to take for this project that we're undergoing. Now, the concerns. So of course we got different suggestions from everyone throughout the community, so that way we can get closer to figuring out exactly what we should be focusing on. So one of the things came from a resident on 18th Avenue. The congestion on 18th Street is appalling. Add features like speed humps, brick pavers, etc., to better regulate the speed, and do better by policing the illegal parking at the liquor store. Public trash cans on various corners. I get quite a bit of trash floating into my yard. I've stepped on dog doo, which, that's a bit of a shame. It's always a pain when you get that stuck on your shoe. It's honestly the worst, wouldn't you agree? So now back to the point, of course. One too many times outside my home. I feel sorry for that, especially if it's outside your home. That's normally where you're supposed to feel safe. It's your safe haven. So for that to happen makes you kind of want to reevaluate some things in life. Now, to the second resident of Laurel Terrace. Cars speed down our dead end street, endangering children who may wander out into it. We have to put it out in a little man to warn speeders. So, based off this, it's not nice when you live in a small town or community, especially if it's residential. Kids are going to want to run around. All kids do that. I'm positive everyone else here has done it when they were kids. So of course, if they're speeding, that's not a good thing, because last thing we want is an accident. Because accidents are not nice. Although they may happen, they're not nice. Now, another resident from Lower Terrace. I fear turning into 18th Avenue. Cars block my view of speeding cars, making it dangerous to pull out. Trees planted in Candace Garden didn't block my view. So, based on what this is saying, another big example that speeding is developed as an issue that we will have to focus on. Now, we have another resident from 18th Avenue. Jeez, a lot of people. At 6 a.m., I found a youth crashed on my couch twice. Saw a group of youths pulling one of them away from the police, repeating he's got a gun, stopped the group from assaulting the neighbor. They were ruining his plants, and he confronted them. Oh boy.
Sounds like New York City.
Jeez, you see, I've never experienced what it was like to have someone crashing on my couch, let alone any of my property, because I don't own one. I live with my mother. So anyhow, yeah, I'm sorry for whoever had to experience that. That doesn't sound like a pleasant experience, because then again, as stated before, your home is your humble abode. It's your temple. It's your safe space, your sweet haven. Last thing you want is for someone else to come crashing on your couch, which, who knows, you probably paid a lot of money for it because it's your house. Now for suggestions number 2 of concerns. Youths urinating on my car and on the lawn. Resident of 18th Avenue. Oh boy, These things, these complaints seem to be getting larger and larger every second. First it was crash. First it was breaking and entering and sleeping on the couch. Now it's urinating on private property. So yeah, now we know something else that we gotta solve. Now we have a resident from North Boulevard. 18th Avenue is already a driving obstacle course, either direction, winter or summer. So now we know another thing that we have to improve on. We're gonna have to improve on the way traffic flows and traffic management, which in any city and really any place you go, the last thing you want to do is get stuck in traffic or just having a hard time trying to get into your driveway and your home. That's an absolute pain. And I can relate to that because sitting with my mom in the van, having to go around the street for hours and hours and hours and hours trying to find someplace to park, not a nice experience. You get bored pretty quickly. Now we have a member from the Lake Como borough. 18th Avenue should have parking on the north side only, full time. Emergencies and service vehicles, fire, police, ambulance, street sweeping, mail delivery, and appreciate a clear run. Making people use their driveways would help with parking issues. So based off this, another thing that involves traffic. Last thing you want is to have your house burning down and the fire truck is struggling to make a left turn onto the road. Not a pleasant experience. Sorry about that, background noise. So yeah, not a pleasant experience. If it's an emergency, you want the people to get to you. You don't want it to take. Oh, sorry, sir. We're gonna have to park down at the end of the road. We can't make the turn. We can't get up the road. Not a pleasant experience. So now, on to the next one. Another resident from 18th Avenue. I can't use my driveway because speeding cars make it dangerous to pull out. Jeez. A lot of hot shots here with their fast vehicles, it would seem. Well, that's another thing we have to focus on. Traffic management seems to be becoming a big issue. So now we have a proprietor on 18th Avenue, stormwater, flooding in the street. We requested a trash bin because the trash is being deposited outside our stop and everywhere, outside our shop and from elsewhere. So based off this, that would mean that another thing we have to focus on, managing garbage and putting up garbage bins in the town. Because as stated, last thing you want is to be proud of your establishment. But when the rainy weather comes, your establishment is now turned into a fishing lake. It's not a pleasant experience when you have to worry about, oh geez, I wonder what the water's gonna do. I wonder how the water's gonna affect the flooring. Do you think I might have electrical problems? I'm gonna have to get that checked out later after everything drains. Because that's not a pleasant experience. You don't want to get your shoes wet. It's not nice. You pay a lot of money for your shoes. You don't want to get those dirty unless they're boots. Then they're kind of designed for that. But even then, they're your shoes. You don't want to get them dirty if you don't have to. Now, we have a resident from Parkway. Cars careen around the corner into the west lane of Parkway, then use it as an express lane. Cars and vans drive on, park on, and cut across the median. It's not safe for bikes and walkers. Make parking for residents only. Rental houses. There's an excess of noise and rowdy behavior, often until 2 a.m. More litter bins are needed. So practically, this is the whole shabam of issues that need to be solved. We have traffic problems, we have litter problems, and we have unruly behavior, which not a pleasant thing when you're living in a quiet residential town. You just want to live a quiet life and buy your coffee in the morning, take a nice drive through the town, enjoy the lake, look at the trees, just enjoy the things in the town. You don't want to have to stay up till 2 a.m. in the morning unless it's 4th of July, because fireworks are fireworks. So it's not much you could do about that. But on 2 a.m., if it's not 4th of July, nobody wants to hear a bunch of kids. It's been a fun night. I think I had a bit too much to drink. Nobody wants to hear that. It's 2 a.m. People are trying to sleep. So another thing we have to focus on, keeping the town quiet and making sure that things like this can be resolved very easily. Now we're on to suggestions number 3 for concerns. So, safety and damage risk, 18th Avenue, March 21st. My son got a car. He parked it out in front of his house on 18th Avenue. The force of the collision shoved his car half a car length out of the marked parking space. The driver was found in Belmar. So, geez, another thing so this brings me back to the point of Traffic. If a car comes careening down that quickly and they hit the vehicle, not a fun experience. Even if you do have insurance, that's your pride and joy that you pour a lot of money out to get. The last thing you want is, gee, another time my car got hit. Why does this keep happening? Why? I paid a lot of money. I just got the tires waxed. Look at this. It's not a fun experience. Now we have someone for entering 18th Avenue from Laurel Terrace. Parked cars obstruct driver vision. Speeding cars can suddenly appear. Pulling out to see my car is now parked way into the road. Have to pull out quickly and hide behind parked cars on the right. Vision to the right is no better, complicating matters. So another thing up here on this road, car even the cars that aren't moving are dangerous because now that obstructs people's vision to see. Which, as a driver in a moving vehicle, that's not a fun experience. You want to always know what's ahead of you. You don't want to have to drive and then, oof, looks like I didn't see them coming around the corner. I hope I have insurance. I hope they have insurance. That's not going to be a fun time if I have to go to court. Eesh. I just got the fenders replaced from the last guy who hit me. So now, sustainable Jersey, complete streets Geez, sorry, folks. A bit of a tongue twister there. Complete streets concept. Complete streets. The definition: streets designed for all users in all modes of transportation and all ability levels. So if you're a beginner driver, hey, no worries. You could easily drive here. If you're an expert driver who knows how to drift around corners quite easily, etc., maybe even if you're a truck driver, you can handle it. It says it right here. It could be wrong. I don't know. I hope it is, but hey, I'm not a driver. I just walk from place to place. So now, to continue on, complete street balance. Complete streets balances the needs of drivers, pedestrians, bicyclists, transit riders, emergency responders, and good movement based on local context. Special to Lake Como, prioritize residents' needs to reduce anxiety, damage, and create a village-type atmosphere. Which it's important because, as stated before, if you're living in a community like this, you want to know that it's safe enough for you to be able to drive and commute wherever you need to go. Priorities of pathway to the lake: higher priority residents. Greater convenience, less anxiety, improved social environment. Pedestrians and bicycles, a clear and safe pathway. Environment: CO2, stormwater, wildlife, and pollinators, and aesthetics. Because in a town like this, you want to make it look nice. Its main focal point is its lake. You want to make the lake look nice. You want to make the pathway to the lake look nice. That is the main focal point. Lower priorities: automobiles, motorcycles. Special priorities: emergency service. Ultimate requirements: when needed, especially during emergencies, because emergency vehicles. It's an emergency. Now, part one: remediation. Find solutions for chronic problems such as speeding, vehicle noise, littering, and unruly weekend behavior. Always on the weekend. Then again, it's the weekend. Layouts: 18th Avenue Parkway. Speeding, pedestrians and bicycles, vehicle noise, parking, unruly behavior, and litter.
So
proposed layout for
sorry.
No,
one of the proposal layout we have for 18th Avenue is for both ongoing traffic going both directions. Parking only on the north side all year round. Traffic calming measures is very important. Bike lane on south side going east, and possible sharing bike lane going west. So the concept of the bike lane, we wanted to assert, and we wanted to at least reduce the amount of traffic in the parking spot. As spoken before, parking has been a main issue due to blockage of view, and also another thing, if it's a wide street, it could cause or encourage other people to speed. So that's another issue we have. And yeah, entering the pathway to the lake farm. Here we have our current view of what it is. entering to the lakefront. So we want to have at least alternate locations for entry signs. Something very important we want to keep in mind is visible for pedestrians, crosswalks, entry sign, bike lane connect with parkway, a layout for parkway. Parking allowed on both sides. East side. Cars travel only. Travel only lane on the east side. On the west side, we have no parking. All vehicle travel, including emergency vehicles. So the solution from the east side, we have single path traffic. So traffic moves more smoothly. Parking only on the east side, and then the speed limit to fit. We want to lower the speed limit to 50 miles per hour all year round for passenger cars, and we want to only allow passenger cars and motor vehicles, and enforce the distance between the curb rule. Solution for the west side. Single lane of traffic, wider base vehicles okay. Continue no parking this side. Speed limit also 15 miles per hour all year long. And this will be the best spot for emergency vehicle access, and maybe the bike lane going south.
All right, so now the north entry to Parkway from 18th Avenue. The current cutting the corners at a high speed, then speeding, dangerous pedestrian crossing across 18th Avenue to and from liquor store. No sense of place. Because, things are out of place. That's not the place for it to be out of place, because there's no place for it to be out of place. Now, to improve it, because, adapt, improvise, improve. To improve, an island to ensure a proper turn at a slower speed. U-turn still available. Defined pedestrian crossing from 18th Avenue, a bike lane to connect with North Boulevard, and emergency access preserved, and a sense of place for Parkway. Now, the south entry to the pathway to the lake, Parkway. The current cutting corners, speeding, trucks committed to the turn before seeing the light, hard to reverse course, resulting in damage to median, unclear pedestrian crossing. My mistake. My apologies, folks. Thanks. And no sense of place. Now, to improve upon this, an island to ensure proper turning at slow speeds. Trucks to see the sign before committing to a turn-in. U-turns are still available. Define pedestrian crossings and a sense of place. Now things are in place.
So one of the key issues we have for Lake Como, as we know and have Leins has talked on before, is speeding. Speeding has caused more accidents and different types of injuries, and one of the things that they really want to focus on is on the dangers of speeding, due to the fact that they want to come out, and play and have their children play around the streets and be a safe environment for the children. So, the thing of speeding we found is the fatal likelihood of speeding. So, and the stopping distance versus speed, which as shown here. Another thing, with wider lanes, like I was talking before, wider lanes, it allows and encourages speeding. So we want to at least have a little bit more narrow lanes. So with the narrow lanes, it could effectively manage speeding without decreasing safety. This is special to Lake Como's aim reduce speeding without requiring no more police surveillance than what they have in the past. As you can see here are some of the signs that nearby town uses, like stop sign, pedestrian signs, speed humps, step off areas, paver crosswalk, rumble strips, reduced speed signs, warning signs, speed humps, and crosswalks. Okay, so here we have what my team and I have been worked on when it comes to speeding, and here are the different types of measures of speeding that we came up with and we have presented to us. And we found out that most of this, what reduces the speeding and which one is the related cause, when it came to speeding, and what we came up with the best overall is that stop signs and speed humps are the most effective when it comes to speeding, and also related cost is in a good price for the company. Okay. So when it comes to stop signs, you don't want to be stopping each street having a stop sign, one stop sign, another stop sign. So what we want to do is to reduce the speeding, at least on 18th Avenue, we want to propose at least one or two stop sign or speed hump equally spaced. So when it comes to space, it won't be interrupted. So it's safe for the pedestrian to walk, but the driver not to get frustrated. So another thing that I really focused on, especially the bike lane and pedestrians. So with the bike lane, we want to at least have the bike lane to have additional standards on road bike lane and accessible with reduced injury and crash rate of 50%, which was proven by the Sustainable Jersey Complete Street guide. Here with this our bike lane circuit, we have an idea of making the bike lane go Main Street, 16th Avenue, and keep on around. As you can see here, Parkway, because that's one of the most things we want to focus on. Have attraction around the lakefront and continue on around the streets. So another issue when it comes to the vehicles is vehicle noises. And what it states here during the meeting, Borough Council of Lake Como had on October 6th was announced that no person shall remove their default mufflers. So there's sometimes at night where people just start revving their cars, and that muffler is just so loud it even wakes up the neighbor, wakes up the dog, start barking. Yeah, they don't. It could be annoying, it could be frustrating over time. So here they want to keep the mufflers. So when it comes to catching these people, you must at least have factory installed mufflers. It's very quiet, so it's easier to detect the noise of modified mufflers. The noise is caused by moving vehicles. Unless the police are already on the site, it's difficult to catch them in the act. How can a community policing program help? So the which is the block captain, I believe. If a noise is caused by a resident, renter, or patron, they might be when they park. If it's caused by somebody driving by, they may be perhaps caught while they are parked at the beach or parked somewhere else. Okay, so another issue that Lake Como, as Len mentioned a lot, was parking. The issue isn't that parking isn't a problem of the off season, but parking is more a problem during the summer visitors due to the attraction that it has to what is one of the neighboring towns is Jersey Shore. So Lake Como is affected parking a lot due to the beach, bars, and Belmar, with no benefit to the town. So one of the things, proceeding to removing parking in one area moves to another area. However, on current 18th Avenue, weekend parking rules result only two additional cars on each eighth side roads. Parking problem can be reduced by people using their driveways. So this is more for residents around there, and any solution should be contested year round to avoid disruption and constant adjustment for pedestrian, borough, and drivers. Proposal: parking. The proposal we have for 18th Avenue is parking on north side only all year round. Is safe for side roads, and parkway. Continue on the east parking on east side. Options: pedestrian parking only. Both 18th Avenue and Parkway possibly using their sticker system, existing sticker system. Unruly behavior, as Len said before, with all these youth and all the trespassing, unruly behavior is one of the issues that we wanted to focus on, which is catching when it comes to the audience. It's which covered behavior in the streets. The noise is caused by pedestrians, so it's difficult to catch them in the act unless the police are already on site due to the parties and the way they walk. So it's more like obvious that they're causing some type of unruly behavior. If noticed, the police may be able to catch them with in time, which are the block captains that we discussed before. Warning signs are a possibility located at the entrance of a borough and outside the bars. Proposal, organize. Let residents know how they work with block captains and to defeat these ugly behaviors. Litter. So one of the slides my teammate Jennifer was working on was the litter slides, and here we have a montage created by her, which from pictures that she received from the great Mr. Gibbons. And here we find the different type of litter around the area, which are gum wraps, cigarette butts, pizza boxes, articles of clothing, and bottles and cans. This is all scattered all around 18th Avenue and Parkway from various sources. We needed to find out where this litter comes from in order to solve the problem of litter, and then we decided where we should put place litter bin. So some litter can be found in storm sewers, and then which then goes into the lake, which could cause a lot of contaminations. So litter, where does it come from? When it comes to litter, we found out some of the sources of litter comes from the beach area, DJs, cafe, bar and George Surfside, passing cars, liquor store, 7-Eleven, bar anticipation, Main Street area, runners, and walkers. Okay, case study, 7-Eleven case study. Mostly small items come from 7-Eleven, trash and recycling where bins are needed. As you're going to see more in the future, more in the slides coming above where the bins are needed. Litter bin proposal. Myself purchased items from 7-Eleven and located where bins are needed, result a general most random patterns, no concentrated areas. So we found, as we've spoken before, one of the most source of litter, 7-Eleven. Here we have some of the current trash bins and some of the bins that we're planning to add to 18th Avenue. Why is that? Why are these locations important? Well, with the purchases I made, I bought a pizza. And I noticed walking with this pizza, the length it took me to find the nearest trash can when it comes to Lake Como, it's this distance. Here, I had somebody help me when it comes to this part, cigarette butts. So the cigarette butts, when it comes to somebody smoking the cigarettes and then having to find the nearest trash can, is going to be somewhere of a distance line here. Burger. 7-Eleven has constant burgers. 7-Eleven serves burgers. You could buy. And when it comes to walking, especially the school is there, a lot of kids like burger. So the distance where consuming a burger and walking to find the nearest trash can is this distance as seen here. Then a hot dog. A hot dog is also sold at 7-Eleven. And here is the distance to get to the nearest trash can. Then we have a soda or pop, however you prefer to say it. And here the distance that is needed for a trash can. Chocolate bar. A lot of people like chocolate. Who doesn't like chocolate here? Okay. So yeah, when it comes to chocolate, the chocolate bar, the current location of the trash bin located, the distance of consuming the chocolate is here. So proposal continues with the bin mounted on the telephone poles and adding a recycling bin to those. Add at least 2 or more bins on the side of the road, equally spaced, as you can see here. And as we discussed before, another issue that we found that Lake Como has, cigarette butts. And due to this, we want to replace or add a container for the old trash can and replace it with a trash can that's able to hold cigarette butts on top. So a little bit proposal. These are some of the locations that on 18th Avenue, Main Street and Parkway, where some of the litter bins are already located, and some of the litter bins we plan to add. Leins.
All right, so Pathways to the Lake, Part 2. I never knew there was another. The enhancement. To enhance the quality of life along the pathway with plants, signage, amenities. Part number 1, trees, streets, front yards. Number 2, sidewalks. Number 3, other plantings. Part A, a verge. Part 3, parkway median. Part 3, signage and education. And Part 4, social and business. Why plant trees? Trees, shrubs, and other landscape plantings play an important role in making a street complete. Tree canopies can, including the following, make streets comfortable and sustainable, define the character of a street along with providing shade, act as a buffer for traffic, reduce heat island effects and energy consumption, absorb and cleanse stormwater, enhance not only visual aesthetic characters of the street, and dramatically improve the physical environment of the corridor. Street trees pilot project. The existing trees, contention with utility lines. So one of the things I'll bring up, either you'll have a wishbone pruning, which means that the tree is growing up. That means the last thing you want is a fire, because we all know what happens when there's a fire. That means property damage, and property damage isn't nice after you put down a mortgage on that house you just got. And not everybody wants to have no electricity, especially if you just put down that mortgage. And then another thing, environmental aesthetic. The last thing you want to see is a tree that compared to all the others looks short, under-trimmed, over-trimmed, and just not overall not pleasing to look at. It gives you it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, although I'm not sure why would you want to eat bark. I'm pretty sure we evolved past that, let alone eat leaves, but hey, everybody has the thing to do. Now, the new trees and suitable parameters. So, the new trees that will be placed support natural wildlife and natural pollinators. Be spaced 12 to 15 feet apart because, hey, they need sunlight. They need space. Everybody has the space bubble. Last thing you want is for a tree to invade someone else's space bubble. For example, nobody likes it when a tree starts growing too close to their house because, hey, when stormy weather comes, that can only mean one thing. A, your house is okay, or B, darn, I should have cut down that branch. Now I gotta pay for a hole in the roof. Better yet, now I'm missing a window. I should have done it before. So that will be taken care of. And when at full size, respects power lines and sidewalks. These are things will all be taken care of and made sure that they don't cause any more trouble. Tried and tested with the help of Candace Garden. Native trees for streets and front yards. So, with the help of Kevin Garcia, Jennifer Segundo, and William Cordova, we managed to and with the help of Mr. John Gibbons and Miss Heather Butts, did some research on different trees that would be good for the area based off what naturally grew there and the wildlife that's present in the town. And these are some of the trees that we chose. So we chose the serviceberry, the pawpaw, the sourwood, although I don't know why they know it tastes sour, the redbud, the Franklin tree, the hawthorn, the hophorn beam, and dogwood. All these trees having some connection to the natural wildlife and just the overall aesthetic. Street trees, relationships with the sidewalks. The problem, usual trees are too large for verge locations and power lines. Examples are present in these pictures. Either you have to cut into a piece of someone's lawn, which, if they're a certain type of person, they're not going to be pleasant when they're looking at the lawn and there's a chunk missing out of it because a place for the sidewalk had to be made. Or better yet, last thing you want when you're just walking down the street and you trip over a crack because the tree's roots are getting too large. Not a pleasant thing. So many scars left from that. But anyhow, on to the next point. Solutions, sidewalk designs, and protective ordinance. For example, providing proper spacing for the trees. And better yet, designing the sidewalk so that way you take into account how large the tree could possibly grow. Now, sidewalks and verge, heat islands. Concrete and impervious surfaces for sidewalks and verge increase stormwater runoff and raise temperature. I know that we all had that feeling when we're walking in our slippers or sandals, and then we walk out onto the sidewalk on a summer day and your feet are burning. walking in sneakers for a long time, and then the sidewalk is just hot. Not a pleasant feeling. It's never a pleasant feeling. So these are the different types of things that would normally cause that. So asphalt, concrete, uniform, and concrete separate. Pavers, stones, small stones, large. Turf grass, toxic. Cigarette butts, not a pleasant thing to see, especially in a residential town. Last thing you want to do is when you're walking with your kids and, hey, mommy, what's with all these cigarette butts? Somebody was littering, my dear. Not a pleasant thing. Now, surfaces on how to fix this. Impervious surfaces reduce my mistake. Pervious surfaces reduce toxic stormwater runoff, preventing it from funneling into the storm sewers and finding its way to the lake. This will further help prevent further degradation of the lake. For example, on these different streets here, Main Street, 18th Avenue, Belmar, and open pavers sidewalks. Pervious concrete sidewalks, a pilot project with the help of Candace Garden. It's gathering people to try it out, so that way they can better see its effects and increase its usage in the town.
So the verge. Verge planning is verge planning where traffic is allowed. As we can see here in Burley Beach, verge planning has already been used in spots where traffic is allowed. And here's some things we wanted to add for when crossing. So stepping stones, it is getting vehicles getting out, and it disciplines on parking. In the Lake Como, alternatives to turf grass. So verge. So as we just discussed, we're no now we're gonna have verge where no parking is allowed. So where there's no parking, there's gonna be pedestrian cross traffic, which is gonna equal to planting opportunities. These plants we want to plant is safely 2 to 3 feet high, which is visible for each corner, as shown here in Lauren Terrace, and then making the turn to 18th Avenue. Now here's what the layout we were planning for when it comes to to the verge. So here we see the orange, as you can see here. Jennifer's been working on this. Is where she want to allow the stepping stone. So the stepping stone, allows delivery, FedEx, postal, and even residents when getting off their car to travel around. Yeah. So the results of this can plant along 20 to 30% of town street length. Verge where there's no parking. Planting examples. In Belmar, low scrub spacing. So as you can see here, in Lake Como, wildflowers. In Ocean Grove, expansion areas are planted like this. Plants are low level are more effective of preventing carbon dioxide from reaching pedestrians than trees. Near the surf source of tailpipe emissions. The medium. So one of the projects Jennifer has also been working on was the medium, and here I admire her design for the medium, as she was thinking of the people of the town. As in Parkway, she wanted to add this spot where residents and also people visiting the town to have a location to sit in and take a break and just enjoy the air. Another medium design that she has, as we know, most of you know, Hurricane Sandy affected Lake Como when it came to medium, and they had to remove parts of the trees. So one of the things we want to add is design opportunity for at least adding somewhat of, we can see here in the middle, it's somewhat of a sitting step in the medium, but also beautify it and add flowers and different trees and different types of measurements. Signage. One of the another important thing is signage. As we see here, some of the signs located around Lake Como already, And as in the middle, it's one of the signs that we want to add to the area of Lake Como, especially in some areas that you can see uh, in the future slide, and add more welcome to Lake Como area where there seem to be no sign at the moment. So as we can see here, one of the signs, quote unquote, name rules is residential area, be respectful, no speeding, no littering. Here's some of the locations is marked as a I. It's going to be what is called as the rules, and the star is where it's signs. So there's no rule signs located in Lake Como. So each of these locations is meaningful to at least add the rules, especially in bars and liquor stores where a lot of people are coming from the beach area and different nearby towns. As we can see, most of the signs that are currently in the area are located on what it is our west side, but we want to add at least more signs to the east side and northeast side of Lake Como, more welcome signs. So when it comes to attraction, the beach, and when it comes to coming from different nearby towns, you know you're coming to a town as Lake Como, and they're presenting itself welcome to their town and their lake. Social and business scene. So one of the techniques for enhancing the natural social, well, these are the things that we want to do after all these problems are solved. So these are some things that we're encouraging our residents. So when it comes to solving these problems, they could come out and enjoy their town. So some of the things they could do is community sports weekly at least, Candy's Garden planting, help out Candy's Garden by weed picking at least 2 times every 2 weeks. Adult adolescents and kids, arts and craft, as talking before, a lot of the teens are involved in these unruly behaviors, and we want to at least get their mind distracted from what is causing them to do this unruly behavior and have at least some sort of distraction and form a way of passing their times. Also, adult arts and crafts that can help them calm down and physically be active in some sort of activity. Community hospital visits, elderly home care visits, drama and chorus clubs, board games, and different and more to come as we are currently working on this slide is particularly. So yeah, William.
William?
Oh, sorry. Okay. So me and Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Rodriguez, and Marlon, we all worked on the AutoCAD portion of Lake Como. I've been working with Mr. Rodriguez since the beginning of the year. Actually, I've been working with Mr. Rodriguez since freshman year when it comes to Lake Como. And this right now is basically a semi layout of the, of all three of the streets that we have been working on throughout this year. 18th Avenue being the main street that we've been looking at. Parkway is also a side street, and so is Main Street. Yeah. So with some simple CAD work, also combined with Illustrator and Photoshop, me and Mr. Rodriguez, we were able to import a lot of the AutoCAD, a lot of the site plan details from Lake Como itself along 18th Avenue into AutoCAD, Photoshop, and Illustrator. We started in AutoCAD, started with a basic outline of the buildings of the surrounding portion that we were focused on. Then we imported it into Illustrator to change some line thickness, and we put it into Photoshop to easily distinguish each part of the projects.
I'm sorry, William, is it just me or is it coming more and more into focus as it sits there? The background. Is it? It feels like it's evolving as it sits there. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I think
the more I look at it, I think you're right, Miss Butts. It does look like that.
right?
The
It
gray
seems
with
like
the black is kind of messing with my eyes a little bit.
it's really fascinating. It looks like the outline of the town is becoming more pronounced as you stare at it. So it's a compliment.
Yeah. So this is actually Parkway. The thing that we were gonna do with Parkway, I remember proposing ideas for bike lanes and stuff. I don't know exactly where those ideas went. Hopefully they're gonna be implemented, but if not, it's not that big of a deal. We just wanted to get our points across. But Parkway was a similar process to 18th Avenue. I actually did pretty much the same thing between both of them. Started off in AutoCAD with tracing the surrounding buildings that were along the street of Parkway. Then I ran it through Illustrator, changed some line thickness, and then went into Adobe Photoshop and made the buildings more pronounced, designated the greenery areas that you see in lime green, and basically kept the site plan in the distance so that way you knew relatively where everything was.
Thank you very much, Williams. Lens. So yeah, here we have our summary. Mission is to create an environmentally and socially beneficial pathway between Main Street and the lakefront. First, as we see, we have the remediation solutions for chronic problems such as speeding, vehicle noise, parking, littering, and unruly behavior, weekend behavior. Then enhance the quality of life along the pathway with planting, signage, and more. Environmental vision could contribute to developing Lake Como's environmental vision, transferring the town from a little noticeable pass-through to a distinctive destination. Sorry. Yeah. First, we want to give thanks to Mr. Rodriguez, Miss Heather Butts, Mr. Codio, Mr. Kessner, Miss Moose, the Health for Youth Incorporation, Lake Como, Candy's Garden, the wonderful Mr. Gibbons, every other staff in Wasad, and thank you for listening to our presentation. Any questions, feedback, or concerns?
Awesome. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody from Lake Como have any comments or questions on this extremely, one thing I want to say is I also want to give a huge amount of thanks to everybody in Lake Como and specifically John Gibbons. He's met with these students every week for
every single week.
Every single week. Right. So I just want to thank him. That's a ton of commitment. And I think you could probably see from the presentation, it's when you have stakeholder buy-in to that level, it probably helps that he's also an architect. There is that. But when you have that level of buy-in, it's incredible. So Lake Como, any comments from you?
Heather, this is Dr. Weber.
Hey, Dr. Weber, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
I'm doing keen. Great to see you.
I'm the Lake Como Environmental Commission Chair, and I just want to say that this project that you guys did is just fantastic. I mean, it's got ideas that I never even would have thought of, and it seems to cover all kinds of problems. I mean, we're only 2 weeks into the summer, and I've had people park in my driveway, 2 a.m. firecrackers, and my neighbor's car got scratched by somebody driving down the street. So, I mean, it's just, traffic is a real problem, and you guys have done wonders with your ideas. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what you can develop and really help the town.
But Dr. Weber, have you found anybody sleeping on your couch? Maybe you should go check now. They might be there.
No, I did get my house broken into several years ago, twice. Yeah,
Life goals.
not recently. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else either in Lake Como or the reason why we also wanted Staten Island Estates, because hopefully you found some there were things that you heard in this presentation that have some meaning for some of the Staten Island projects and presentations. So anybody else either Lake Como affiliated or in Staten Island that has any comments or questions? Oh, Susanna Abadi.
Hi, I just wanted to say it was great to see how holistically you approached it. And I'm actually pretty familiar with Lake Como because we used to have a place in Belmar. And it was great to see how you were identifying some of the challenges and really looking upstream to really see where those challenges are coming from and looking at how to approach it in a way that would be community focused, not just focused on setting up controls. So I really admired the way that you were looking at trying to work with the community to create improvements.
Susanna Abadi, I'm curious. I'm curious what you mean by that. That's actually a really interesting statement, as opposed to setting up controls.
Well, a lot of times when they'll set penalties in place or they'll limit people's ability to be active in an environment. Do you understand what I mean? Like there's a way that all kinds of ways that they will try to limit access would be one potential response that you could have. And that's not the approach that you took. It was to work with human behavior and then also to look, like I said, upstream and more like holistically at ways to try to improve behavior.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole town.
It's a whole town. It's a beautiful place.
You're doing it. That's a problem.
Yeah, right.
Should I say something?
Can I can't see everybody. So
Gibbons here.
Yeah.
Gibbons here. Yes. There's an enormous amount to say, but the thing is, this project had surprised everybody, including me. Because we thought we were, we basically, to give you a little background for people who don't know Lake Como, we have a vision in Lake Como where we are trying to change it from a little notice pass through to a distinctive destination. Great, and turn it into more like a village type of thing with an environmental theme. Okay, that's what we're trying to do. 2 years ago, Williamsburg designed our lakefront, okay? And that as a fun and wildlife park. And as a result, the town got an open space grant a matching grant of $200,000. And that's starting to happen. Spring Lake, the town next to us on the other side of the lake, also got a grant. So for the first time in living memory, two towns are actually working together and going to have a similar kind of approach around what's at least 3/4 of the lake. So that was the first one. The other one is Main Street. We have a plan for creating street trees, but it's not street trees. It's as an arboretum, as a destination, and the work that Kevin did, he's done so much more work on it. We're saving his work on the trees because he's given us almost an encyclopedia of trees, and those are going to be the signs in the arboretum. So, this is what this project's going everywhere. So the thing was, how do we connect those two destinations and at the same time clean up a kind of a less than salubrious situation? And that was the original thinking. But this project became so much more, and so we ended up working as a team, and Mrs. Butts did tremendous work on giving a list of the tasks, because there are so many things involved, so many kids involved, the whole thing, and you see what the kids did, it's amazing. And so what the issue was is that we ended up having to, forgive me for the word, but to change the paradigm where people at the moment, the town is looking at doing a traffic study, and in the traditional way, that's fine, but doing a traffic study when what is happening with the Sustainable Jersey program and even with the infrastructure program nationally is that we're looking at streets in a different way, not from traffic outward, but from residents and pedestrians and bicycles and turning the whole thing on its head. That's what these kids have been doing, which to me is just amazing. And we've just been kind of riding the tiger on this project because it's been such complicated but an adventure. And the kids deserve an enormous amount of credit for making this happen. Anyway, that's pretty much it. And there is a possibility of something happening because the Sustainable Jersey program in New Jersey, you have to look it up, you can type it, but it has funds attached to one of their actions for a town being sustainable, which is the Complete Streets program. So there's half a chance of getting some funds to make this happen. So the next thing we have to do, and as a town, is Dr. Weber and I, we've got to get in touch with the green team and get things moving there, right? Because we've got the material. So anyway, that's kind of the background to it. And these kids deserve a lot of credit for doing it. You can see the really super stuff that's all scattered through the presentation. So anyway, that's my contribution. Thank you very much, you guys and gals. It's wonderful, and we're looking forward to the presentation now, the official presentation to the Environmental Commission on the 16th, and you'll have another bunch of very appreciative people there as well.
Right. So the students will be doing another presentation next week for the Environmental Commission of Lake Como. Environmental Commissioner Dr. Weber is physically here, virtually physically here. So they'll be doing that presentation again, and then get feedback regarding next step. So any other comments for Lake Como, and then we're going to wrap up the entire presentation. Anything else for Lake Como?